My father was hit in a car accident, and when I arrived at the scene, I saw my husband, disheveled, climbing out of the passenger seat of the car that caused the accident. I stayed overnight at the hospital with my father, while he stayed at the police station with the woman. I firmly disagreed with the settlement, and he threw a thermos at my head in anger. I calmly wiped the blood from my face and suddenly remembered that in the 5th year of our marriage, he had jokingly brought up open marriage. After all these years, I'm tired of sleeping with the same person. I'm just giving sex to others, but I give you my love. To be fair, I don't care how you play. Fine, then I did as he wished, and got together with the man he sent to me. But when I actually turned around, he kneeled in front of me, begging me to come back home. Blood kept flowing, and Sean Harris anxiously pulled out some tissues and ran to me, wiping while frowning and asking, "Why didn't you dodge? Does it hurt?" I didn't mean to, I was just in a rush. Xiang is still young, she's talented, I just didn't want to see her go to waste. Just listen to me, let's just forget about it. I pushed his hand away, my eyes firm. That's my father. Alright, your father loves money. If you really cared about him, just take the money and end this. I frowned, about to speak again, but his phone suddenly rang. Mr. Shen, where are you? They've been questioning me for a long time, and won't even let me eat. I'm so hungry, I feel dizzy and can't even stand. Sean Harris unknowingly hit the speakerphone button, and Sarah Johnson's aggrieved voice immediately came through the speaker. Hearing it, he tightly gripped the phone, looking worried. Wait for me, I'll be right back. After hanging up, he focused and looked up at me. Lily Martin, I'm giving you one last chance. Will you sign this settlement agreement or not? After I refused, Sean Harris turned around without a word and left. That back, I had seen it too many times over the years. Before, Sean Harris and I weren't like this. After graduation, I worked in Shin's company, and he was my first apprentice. At that time, no one knew his real identity, not even me. He was smart, humorous, passionate, and energetic, but inevitably made mistakes at work, and I always helped him clean up. At a party once, he got drunk and kissed me forcefully. Lily Martin, I like you. I don't just want to be your apprentice, I want to be your boyfriend, even your husband. The alcohol on his breath seemed to get to me too, and in my dizzy state, I agreed to him. By the time I learned his identity, I couldn't escape anymore. Sean Harris loved me, and everyone knew it. For me, he replaced all his female employees with men, and he would remember every day related to me, no matter how small, including my family's birthdays. Anything I liked, even if it was just a glance, he would notice and quietly buy it for me. People laughed at him, a CEO of a big company being controlled by a woman, but he didn't care at all. But no one expected that this man, who loved me so much, would ask for an open marriage in the 5th year of our marriage. Sean Harris wasn't asking, he was informing me. And the woman who caused the accident to my father, Sarah Johnson, was his 44th mistress. Swallowing the bitterness in my throat, I wiped my father's body clean. He had specifically come from his small town to see Sean Harris and me, bringing many local products before the accident. But when I arrived, all I saw was a mess and my father's bloodied face. Since the incident, this was the first time Sean Harris had visited him at the hospital. Dad, are you feeling better? He put down the fruit he was holding, pretending to show concern. I coldly got up and went to get some water, unwilling to stand next to him. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him seem to breathe a sigh of relief. When I came back, he was holding my father's hand, expressing gratitude, his eyes red, as if he had just been crying. When he saw me, he quickly left, saying he had work to do. My dad, trembling, grabbed my hand and weakly spoke, "Forget it, you two just focus on your life together." I was confused, but assumed he saw through the conflict between Sean Harris and me. Until I called the investigating police officer, who surprisingly said, "Didn't you agree to settle? Your father himself said so." The veins on my forehead throbbed, and I trembled with anger. I thought back to when Sean Harris came, holding his phone to my father's ear, and everything became clear. The officer played my father's recorded voice, and with a helpless look said, "Your father's voice, the signed settlement agreement, it can't be fake. Your family is strange, sometimes you want to hold someone accountable, sometimes not. Your husband even helped the other party run errands." His words stopped when he saw my expression. I kept my head down, tightly clenching my fists. Sarah Johnson, following the procedure, transferred the compensation to my phone. She smiled smugly, leaning against me. "In the end, Huichuan cares too much about me." I told him I could pay, but he still insisted on transferring it to me. I almost couldn't hold back and raised my hand. "Dear." Sean Harris suddenly appeared, grabbing my hand. He shot a furious look at Sarah Johnson, forcing his hand into my palm. Dear, let's go back to the hospital and see Dad. I was about to speak when Sarah Johnson, standing nearby, refused. She looked at Sean Harris and pouted, Mr. Shin, I can't drive, could you give me a ride home? Sean Harris hesitated for a second, then nodded to her. I sneered, pulling my hand away and leaving. On the way, I received a message from Sean Harris. Dear, I'll be there soon. But by nightfall, I still hadn't seen him at the hospital. My phone kept ringing, and not wanting to disturb my father, I stepped out into the corridor to answer it. It was a call from Sean Harris. As soon as I answered, I was greeted by heavy breathing. Little kitty, are you wearing the one I bought for you? Of course, top and bottom, all of it. The continuous sound in the phone felt like countless needles stabbing at my heart. I thought I had already gotten used to it, thought I had already let go of all my feelings for Sean Harris. But when I faced it head-on, the scars that had healed were ripped open again, and the blood flowed freely. After my dad was discharged from the hospital, he insisted on going back to his small town. Once I saw him off, I finally returned home. When I opened the door, the dining table was still set with leftovers from several days ago. Every corner of the house was a reminder that Sean Harris hadn't come home during this time. Ignoring the moldy, stinky food, I went straight to my room to pack my things. But when I reached the hallway, the door suddenly opened from the outside. Who are you? How did you break into my daughter's house? A couple stood outside with luggage, holding a set of keys. The woman, with her large frame, squeezed forward angrily. Speak up, or we'll call the police. I sneered and met her gaze. Call the police? Fine, call them. Let's see who your daughter is. Why does she think this is her house? The woman eyed me suspiciously, then ran outside to check. You're right, this is my daughter's house. Honey, stop talking. It must be a thief. Look, she's holding a gift box, and it looks expensive. The woman's gaze lingered on the box in my hand, and she exploded in fury, charging at me like a whirlwind, raising her hand. Slap.
She hit me hard across the face, her sharp nails cutting into my skin. You shameless, worthless thing. How dare you steal the jewelry my son-in-law bought for my daughter? Do you know who my son-in-law is? He's the CEO of Golden Peak. You dare mess with me? Are you tired of living? The slap made my head turn to the side, and a metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. As I was about to turn, the man punched me in the stomach, followed by another punch straight to my face. The suitcase was kicked over by the woman, and its contents were thrown out violently. I want to see what you've stolen from us. Don't touch my things. I gasped, blood dripping from my mouth to the floor. Oh, still making noise. Honey, call security. This is supposed to be a high-end neighborhood, and yet they can't even catch a thief. Old Sue, hurry and call our daughter and son-in-law. They don't even know we've got a thief in the house. During the days I cared for my dad, I couldn't eat or sleep, and I became seriously ill. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have been helpless against their beating. Seeing me in such a pitiful state, they both sneered and laughed at me. While waiting for Sean Harris, they started messing with things in the house. Who bought this painting? It's so ugly. Throw it away. The man, disgusted, grabbed the painting and was about to throw it outside when I suddenly stared wide-eyed. Don't throw it away, you slut. Who do you think you are to speak up? The man lifted his foot and stomped on my face, rubbing his dirty, foul-smelling shoe on my skin. Don't throw it away. I said I'm the owner of this house. I gritted my teeth, my face numb with pain, clearly swollen, and my words were muffled. Peeved. You think you can get rich like this? Do you think everyone is lucky enough to marry a CEO like my daughter? Look at yourself. Do you even deserve it? The next moment, he spat a thick phlegm in my face. Ah, look at you. So dirty. What if my son-in-law sees? You'll ruin the image. The man sneered, got up, and continued to carry the painting outside. I painfully staggered to my feet, limping out to try and retrieve the painting. You really want it? The man stroked his chin, a wicked smile in his eyes. Kneel down and beg me. I gritted my teeth. If only he would give me back the painting. But he didn't keep his promise. Instead, he raised the painting high and slammed it on the ground. Don't. I cried out in pain. The protective glass shattered with a sound, and he picked up the painting from inside, raising his hand to tear it apart. That was my grandmother's last work before she passed, meant to be given to her future son-in-law. Grandmother was a famous artist, and a painting like that was priceless. I lost all strength and hopelessly collapsed to the ground. Suddenly, the headlights of a car shone on me from a distance. Dear, Sean Harris appeared in front of me, his eyes full of concern. He raised his hand and gently wiped my face with his expensive clothes, not caring at all that they were dirty. He took me to the hospital, and throughout the treatment, I didn't say a word to him. Instead, he kept asking in a worried tone. I lay in the hospital bed, resting with my eyes closed, while he arranged for the family nutritionist to make me a meal and sent it to the hospital overnight. He also brought in a professional medical team to examine me. The nurse outside, before leaving, looked at me with envy, almost praising me for my good fortune. I calmly took out my phone and dialed, "Hello, is this 110? I need to report. I've been." Suddenly, a gust of wind blew, and my phone was snatched away and hung up roughly. I looked up at Sean Harris. He pressed his lips together and explained, "Dear, Shangwan's house was broken into, and it's unsafe. You've been staying in the hospital with your father, so I agreed to let her parents stay in that house for now. As for the so-called son-in-law, that's completely untrue. I've told Shangwan a long time ago that my wife will always be you, Lily Martin. There will be no one else. I'm just playing around with her. My heart is with you, and I will come back home. Shangwan was wrong, and I'll make her apologize to you. As for calling the police, I don't think it's necessary." His words were all in favor of Sarah Johnson, and my fists tightened. I let out a bitter laugh. "Sean Harris, that's our home. Yet you let outsiders come and go as they please. What do you take me for? Since you care so much about her, why don't we just divorce? I'll step aside and make room for you both." My dad was hit by Sarah Johnson, and he wanted me to endure it, to forgive. I was humiliated by Sarah Johnson's parents, and he still wanted me to endure, to forgive. Panicked, he rushed to me and tried to pull me. "I won't divorce you. I love you so much. How could I divorce you? I told you, I'm just playing with her." Bang! The door slammed open, and his words stopped abruptly. Sarah Johnson saw me and quickly walked over, kneeling in front of me. "Lily Martin, it's my fault. If you're going to blame someone, blame me. Don't make things hard for my parents. I beg you." Seeing this, Sean Harris hurried to help her up. "Shangwan, what are you doing? Don't worry, as long as I'm here, no one will hurt your parents." Sarah Johnson, in a fit of emotion, suddenly hugged Sean Harris. Her eyes filled with provocation as she looked at me. When they were about to leave, she used her emotional instability as an excuse and asked Sean Harris to take her home. Sarah Johnson's relentless provocation completely drove me crazy. I stopped Sean Harris as he was about to leave. With red, swollen eyes full of hatred, I gritted my teeth and shouted at him, "Sean Harris, I've told you, I want a divorce." Sean Harris stood still, his eyes tired but indifferent. He thought I was just using divorce to oppose him like I had before. "Dear, Shangwan is still young. She can't handle things well. Don't take what she says or does seriously. I'll send her back, and then I'll come to you later." After Sean Harris left, I lowered my head weakly, and tears streamed down my face. In the middle of the night, I slept in a daze, feeling hot all over, kicking off the covers. By chance, I touched a cool sensation and unconsciously wanted to get closer, to get even closer. Little did I know, that coolness moved closer to me, surrounding me, and I couldn't help but cry out loud. Sweat soaked the sheets. The pain in my body and a strange sense of pleasure hit me in waves, one after another, until the sky gradually brightened. When I opened my eyes again, I saw a stranger's face, and I gasped. But then, from the sofa across the room, came the most familiar voice. "Dear, how are you? Feeling any better? I told you, you need to deal with your physical needs. It's just a shame I promised Shangwan that I won't touch any woman other than her for these 6 months, including you." I couldn't stop trembling, tears uncontrollably streaming down my face. My fists clenched tightly. "Did you drug me?" Sean Harris sighed softly. "It's just a mood-enhancing drug. It doesn't harm the body." I asked about it. "Besides, I use it with Shangwan often. Never seen her react badly. She said your mood swings are because your physical needs aren't being met, and it's causing a hormonal imbalance." I still couldn't believe it as I looked at Sean Harris. "You really don't care about my feelings at all? Even if I sleep with another man, you wouldn't care?" I tried to read his expression, looking for any sign of change. Sean Harris, smiling, pulled me into his arms, his eyes full of affection for me, but to me, it was just ironic. "It's okay, dear, I've told you, we have an open marriage. It's just for fun. As long as we understand each other and the person we love most is each other, we'll always come back to the family." Sean Harris grew up abroad. I knew he had an open mind, but I never imagined it could be twisted this far. What nonsense open marriage. It was just an excuse for his own infidelity. For his pleasure, to control me, he dragged me down to hell with him. I looked at his face and laughed. The more I laughed, the more my eyes burned, my eyes feeling heavy, like they were being crushed under 1,000 pounds. Layer by layer, disappointment built up, eventually turning into irreversible despair. I numbly looked out the window. Dear, I've had the wedding house cleaned and redecorated. All the furniture is new. You can move back in any time after you recover and leave the hospital. I'm sorry about Grandma's painting. I can't restore it to its original state, but I'm looking for an expert in this area. Xiangwan's parents were emotionally affected, and their old issues flared up, so they couldn't come to see you and apologize in person. I know you're always magnanimous, so you won't make things difficult for them, right? So I've forgiven them for you, and everything before is in the past now. I know you're feeling down, and I told Xiangwan I'll stay at home with you from now on, as long as Who said I'm going home? I interrupted his words. He looked at me, stunned. Not going home? You still want to stay in the hospital? I turned my head to look at the man who had been quietly listening under the covers. I stretched out my hand slowly, pointing at him, my eyes full of sarcasm as I looked at Sean Harris. I'm going to his house. Sean Harris was stunned for a moment, frozen in place. My gaze was dead, but I curled the corners of my lips. One night wasn't enough for me. Do you want to keep standing there and watch me with him? Sean Harris' face was rarely filled with displeasure. He remained standing still, his lips trembling slightly, but he didn't say a word. He didn't leave, and I didn't look at him anymore. Turning around, I lifted the blanket, expressionless, and stared into the man's eyes. I cupped his chin in my hand, leaned down, and kissed him, very seriously savoring the taste of another man, one other than Sean Harris. Unlike yesterday's hesitation, Sean Harris didn't know how long he had been standing there until a phone call rang. He couldn't control his trembling hands as he picked up the phone, his peripheral vision almost making him drop it to the floor. It was on speakerphone again, and Sarah Johnson's annoying voice immediately filled the room. Why, Chuan, where are you? I'm feeling so suffocated. I miss you so much. I tightly shut my eyes. Go outside and answer it. Sean Harris was startled by my voice, pressing the hang-up button. I don't know if it was because I had scared him for the first time or if he was just in such a rush to see Sarah Johnson, but he left without even closing the door. Luckily, this floor had already been booked by him, so no one else would come up unless necessary. Time passed second by second, and when I woke up again, it was already dark. In the dark night, a pair of eyes were watching me. I lay weakly on the bed, staring blankly into space. Suddenly, a strong arm stretched in front of me. Does it hurt? I turned my head to avoid it. Why did you agree to him? He looked at me in surprise. What? I didn't answer, just stared at him. Oh, you mean that? I don't have money. I need money. He smiled casually at me. I fell silent, got up, and prepared to leave the messy bed. Yesterday was my first time. He suddenly spoke up. My grandmother was very ill, but my parents didn't want to treat her. My grandmother raised me. Anyone can give up on her, but I can't. His voice choked a bit, and my body stiffened as I stood with my back to him. I thought back to that ruined legacy, and how I was also raised by my grandmother. Everything about her meant the world to me. I lowered my eyes. Give me your phone. Are you going to add me? He handed his phone to me, oddly pleased. The screen was SpongeBob. I glanced at it, added his contact, and then transferred him some money. Is this enough to treat your grandmother? Don't do this again. Put on your clothes and leave. When I finished freshening up, he was gone from the bed. I was about to leave when a small piece of paper on the desk caught my attention. My name is Lu Qiren, thank you. After reading it, I almost crumpled it and threw it away, but somehow, holding it in my hand felt like holding a fireball. So hot it was burning my palm. I stuffed it into my pocket, turned around, and left the hospital room. I didn't go home, nor did I plan to ever return to that so-called home. I spent the whole morning renting a place outside and arrived at the company just before the afternoon shift. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, my assistant's face stiffened, and he looked like he wanted to say something but didn't. I was actually here to ask Sean Harris for a divorce. I had the divorce papers printed as quickly as possible. Ding. Vice President Ding. What are you doing back? Didn't you get hurt? Don't you need more rest? Don't worry about the Prestige Corp project. I won't make any mistakes. You should go back and rest a bit. When he mentioned the Prestige Corp project, I became a bit worried. It was a project I had just taken over before my dad's accident. Mr. Lee from Prestige Corp trusted me and cooperated with Golden Peak because of it. But I had delayed it due to personal matters, and usually only communicated with my assistant verbally and online. I thanked my assistant for his concern but insisted on going to the office. Report to me first. Seeing this, my assistant's face turned even more grim, and his hesitant manner made me suspicious. I stood there seriously. What exactly is going on? He looked at me for a long time, and his gaze made me feel a tinge of pity. He sighed helplessly. Mr. Shen has handed the project over to Vice President Su. I froze, instinctively asking, Vice President Su? Yes. As soon as Mr. Shen returned to the company, he promoted Su, the lawyer, to Vice President. Besides the Prestige Corp project, all the other work you were handling has also been transferred to Vice President Su. After saying that, the assistant looked at my face. But I surprisingly remained calm. Got it, Vice President Ding. There's something I need to say. When Sarah Johnson was a lawyer, she couldn't even handle things properly, let alone being vice president. She doesn't understand these projects. Yet she insists on making decisions and giving orders. If this continues, the company will. His words were abruptly cut off when Sean Harris appeared. His face turned red with anger, as if he was taking on the great injustice for me. Dear, why are you out of the hospital so soon? Don't worry about the company. Shangwen is helping me. Sean Harris, with a tender expression, tried to take my hand. I sneered and pulled away. Why can't I come? If I hadn't come to the company today, I wouldn't have known that you, Mr. Shen, have already pushed me off the stage. He gave an awkward smile and pulled me into the office. Shangwen wants to gain some experience. Just let her. She's a newcomer, and you're older than her, so you can help guide her. When the office door opened, I finally realized that everything I had originally designed had been shattered and completely remodeled. The style of the decor here was all things I disliked, but it was exactly what Sarah Johnson loved. Dozens of expensive figurines were lined up, placed near the desk. The plants I had carefully nurtured were nowhere to be found. My plants, where are they? I looked at Sean Harris seriously. Sean Harris wrapped his arm around my shoulder. Shangwen said the plants were taking up too much oxygen, so they're better off in the bathroom. I think they're just ordinary plants, so I let her do it. If you like them, I'll buy you a few nice ones. I glared at Sean Harris in anger. He sighed, all right. I'll get someone to move them back from the bathroom, but they can't be placed here. Shangwen said she has a lot to learn, and she needs to consult you. Dear, can you help me and work as her assistant for now? Guide her a little. I never imagined that Sean Harris would make such a shameless request. I laughed out of frustration. I didn't know when Sarah Johnson had returned, but when she saw me standing in what had now become her office, she grinned proudly. Lily Martin, you're back. Sean Harris had to go to a meeting, and the office was left with just me and her. Sarah Johnson couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore. She sat on the leather sofa I had carefully selected. Lily Martin, with everything going on, when are you going to leave? Can't you tell whether Wai Chuan cares about you or not? If he really cared, would he have tricked your dad into signing the settlement? Would he give me the keys to your wedding house and let my parents stay there? Lily Martin, just get a divorce. He doesn't love you anymore. My tightly clenched fist suddenly relaxed, and I placed the divorce papers on the desk. She stared at them before speaking. What do you mean by this? You know better than anyone whether Sean Harris will divorce me. If not, you wouldn't have used reverse psychology to make me bring up the divorce. The opportunity is in your hands. If you have the means to make him sign this divorce agreement, I will leave and go somewhere he will never find me. Sarah Johnson's eyes were full of urgency, but it seemed like she was afraid I might try to trick her. I turned around to leave. She suddenly called out to me, are you really willing to divorce Wai Chuan? Can you bear to give him up? To give up all that easily accessible wealth? I stood there silently, but in my mind, I had never been this clear-headed. The things are in your hands, whether you succeed or not depends on your skills. I didn't answer her but lifted my foot and walked out. What I handed to Sarah Johnson, besides the divorce papers, was my resignation letter. At the time, many companies had offered me opportunities, with a prestigious university degree and having secured numerous contracts for Golden Peak, but I had stayed firmly for Sean Harris. I dedicated everything, my youth, my talent, to Golden Peak and to Sean Harris. But he had kicked me aside as easily as a stone in the road. What he didn't cherish, someone else would. Leaving Golden Peak was never something I would regret. I waited at home for a week before I finally received a message from Sarah Johnson. It was a picture with a signature on it, and it was indeed Sean Harris. Not long after, she mailed the agreement to the address I provided. When I picked it up, I happened to pass by a famous cake shop. When I came out, I was holding a bag of cakes and heading home. As I turned the key in the lock, the door opened from the inside. The man in front of me smirked and took the things from my hand. then lifted me up and kicked the door shut with his foot. He casually threw the things on the sofa and kept walking toward the bedroom. It's not even dark yet. I panicked and grabbed his collar. He smiled and said, "Can't wait." The day I found Lou Chiron, it was pouring rain outside. I went to the public hospital to change my dressing, and a commotion broke out in the crowd, like someone was arguing. The doctor who changed my dressing sighed helplessly, "This guy is really filial." The money for his university and for his grandmother's medicine was all earned by himself. It's just a pity he has those heartless parents. Well, I shouldn't say too much. The old lady doesn't have much time left anyway. When I finished changing my dressing and stepped outside, I walked around the crowd and realized that the person they were talking about was him. I remembered his name, Lou Chiron. I didn't want to make a scene, but my feet felt like they were rooted to the ground and wouldn't move. I watched him beg the doctor to treat his seriously ill grandmother, and saw his parents viciously curse the elderly woman in the hospital bed, calling her a burden, a drain. In the end, I watched him stand hopelessly in the rain, his clothes drenched. I held the umbrella over his head, and he looked at me in surprise. "How much more do you need for the medical expenses?" "I'll cover it all." After that day, he came back to my house with me. He told me he had no home, no one wanted him. Except for his grandmother, I was the only one who cared. He also told me that when he returned home, his parents had rummaged through his phone, found a large sum of money in his account, and then tricked him into giving it all away. They never intended to use it for his grandmother's treatment. Am I really that stupid? I looked at the man in front of me, heartbroken, and under his slightly hopeful gaze, I nodded. He looked even more miserable. I softly smiled and kissed him on the forehead. "Yes, it's stupid, but it's also very kind. I haven't seen a person like you in a long time." I never saw Lou Chiron as a substitute for anyone, nor was he a substitute for Sean Harris. He was completely different from Sean Harris. Sean Harris had grown up in a world of fame and fortune, never doing things that were unprofitable. But because of this, he was proud and arrogant, always burning like fire. Fire, no matter how warm, can easily turn into a destructive blaze if you're not careful. But Lou Chiron was like a cup of warm water by the bedside every day. He treated everyone around him who was kind to him with kindness. His attention to detail and his warmth were exactly what I had been longing for. I remained silent for 2 weeks, and Sean Harris grew upset. Earlier, when he couldn't get in touch with me, he thought I had left because I was angry that Sarah Johnson had taken my position. Helpless, he sent me a message, "When did you become so childish?" What I said can't be changed. Even if you're mad, you'll have to accept that Shangwon is now the vice president. After reading the message, I scoffed and blocked his number. In the 3rd week, seeing that he was in a bad mood, Sarah Johnson suggested taking him to the Maldives for a vacation. He reluctantly agreed, and just before they left, Sarah Johnson sent me many selfies with a caption, "It's still me and him that match better, what do you think?" My opinion didn't matter, so I quickly blocked her as well. After years of marriage, I knew every expression on Sean Harris' face. Just one glance and I could tell that when Sarah Johnson suggested taking those photos, Sean Harris was already impatient. A mutual friend who was traveling with them told me that Sean Harris had been in a bad mood the whole time, ignoring everything Sarah Johnson said. Instead, he kept searching through his phone for all the contacts related to me, trying to reach out to each one. The result was clear. For all his accounts, I either deleted or blocked them. Coincidentally, the sight of Lou Chiron making a snowman with me outside the hospital was captured by a passerby and posted online. Sean Harris couldn't reach me, and everything he did seemed meaningless. He lay weakly and irritably on the chair, just in time to scroll past the viral video online. The video started with just a back view, but he immediately sat up straight. The video wasn't long, but he watched it repeatedly for over half an hour. Suddenly, he laughed. But that laugh wasn't from genuine joy, it was burning anger mixed with jealousy. He immediately instructed his assistant to buy return tickets, leaving Sarah Johnson alone on the other side of the world. Lou Chiron's grandmother eventually passed away, and I stayed with him through the most difficult days. Along the way, he gripped my hand tightly, not letting go. "Will you leave me like grandma and I'll never see you again?" "No," I replied firmly. I rested my head on his shoulder. "Lily Martin," a familiar voice called from behind. It was Sean Harris. He slammed the car door shut, his chest heaving rapidly. I stared at him expressionlessly, but my hand that was holding onto Lou Chiron's never loosened. His gaze fell on our tightly interlocked hands. His face turned pale, but he forced a smile for me. "Dear, it's time to go home." He reached out his hand toward me, standing still, waiting. He thought I would, like countless times before, run to him and grab his hand. But this time, I didn't. I averted my gaze and prepared to turn away. Dear, he called out urgently. He stepped forward a few paces. I've had enough. I want to go home. Let's go home, okay? Sean Harris' words were filled with pleading. It was rare, the once unshakable man, now begging me to take him home. Home? Do we still have a home? My cold tone shattered his hope completely. Sean Harris looked as though he had been struck by lightning, his body trembling uncontrollably. Seeing that I was about to leave, he desperately grabbed me from behind, then quickly raised his hand toward Lucian. I reacted quickly and firmly caught his hand. Are you done being crazy? I shook off his hand, but he clung to me like a sticky plaster. Dear, we have a home. If you don't like it, I'll buy another house. You can go anywhere, just the two of us. I won't play anymore, and I'll come home early. I swear, this is real. I coldly laughed. But Sean Harris, I don't love you anymore. Impossible. How could you not love me? Not love me? Who do you love then? Do you love him? His finger pointed toward Lucian. Lucian stood in front of me, protecting me with his whole body. Mr. Shen, love can't be forced. How many things have you done under the guise of love that have hurt her? You've never considered her feelings. Shut up. What do you think you are? Who are you to lecture me? Don't forget, without me, you wouldn't even be in my wife's bed. I kept Lucian behind me, glaring at Sean Harris with disgust. You're right. I have to thank you for this. Without you, I would never have met him. Sean Harris, it's over between us. You've already signed the divorce agreement, and if you don't believe it, go ask your 44th mistress. She'll tell you the answer. When Sean Harris saw the signed divorce papers, he immediately flew into a rage, remembering the circumstances under which he had signed the document. He stormed downstairs to my place, yelling loudly, I will never agree to a divorce. Lily Martin, you can only be my woman. I won't allow you to love anyone else. I ignored his rage and called the security to have him removed. From the very beginning, I knew Sean Harris wouldn't let go so easily. Otherwise, I wouldn't have suffered so much over the years. I handed all the prepared files to my lawyer and gave him full authority to handle my divorce case. Sean Harris had cheated 44 times during our marriage, and each woman in the photos had believed she was his one and only. When I received the lawsuit, Sean Harris called me using my former assistant's phone. Dear, I've already fired Sarah Johnson. The vice president position is still yours. Come back, please. Let's not divorce. Let's live well, okay? I wearily refused. The next second, his voice became sharp. Lily Martin, everything you have is thanks to my family. Without Golden Peak, where would you be today? You think you could be vice president anywhere else? Didn't I just have some fun with a few women? Be honest with yourself. How are any of them like you? At the end, he broke down, his voice cracking. I know I was wrong. I really do. Let's go home, okay? Please, don't leave me. For him, I no longer had the slightest attachment, and the beautiful memories of the past faded away like fireworks. Sean Harris, you're wrong. It was never Golden Peak that made me who I am. There were things he didn't understand. Golden Peak's multiple crises, his father's mistakes in decision-making, the pressure everyone was under to support Golden Peak. During that time, I was constantly drinking at social events, vomiting blood from my stomach, while he remained unaware, crying for me, which solidified my resolve to support him and protect Golden Peak. I simply didn't want to see my hard work destroyed by someone like Sarah Johnson, who didn't understand anything. In truth, I didn't care about the vice president position, let alone the multiple offers from Prestige Corp, which were far more prestigious than this so-called vice president role. We can't go back. I had already accepted Prestige Corp's offer, and soon, I would leave this city with Lucian. Sean Harris never heard from me again. He went crazy, smashing everything in the house, blaming Sarah Johnson for his loss of me. He thought it was her constant provocation that caused him to lose me, unlike the previous 43 women. Coincidentally, Sarah Johnson, who had fallen out with him, came to collect a debt, demanding compensation for her lost youth. As I watched her lips move, Sean Harris, in a frenzy, grabbed a fruit knife from the table and rushed forward, stabbing it into Sarah Johnson's stomach. A friend called me and, with regret, said, "What a good person. How did it come to this?" Sarah Johnson's parents won't let go of him, shouting about murder and compensation. But in reality, it's to buy a house for their second child to get married. They've already taken a huge amount from the Shen family. Prestige Corp is withdrawing its investment due to a breach of contract by Golden Peak, and the whole company is in turmoil. Mr. Shen, sick and weak, has returned to the stage. Now, Golden Peak's employees are all facing difficult times. I felt sorrow, but I was no longer soft-hearted. After all, Golden Peak and I were no longer connected, and some chains should have been broken long ago. After the court's ruling, Lou Chiron immediately proposed to me. With his outstanding skills and education, he became a hotshot cardiologist. And no matter how busy or tired he was, the warm cup of water by his bedside was always just right.